All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I want to call this podcast, I think, is don't let anyone make you think you're weak. And what made me think about this is actually I just did a YouTube video regarding I don't care what age you are, it's never too late to work out. But I said, a lot of people, or at least that a lot of people I know, hit a certain age and they start to, I think, from what I hear, start to feel weaker and weaker. And I get it as we age. We're definitely not a lot of times the strength we once were. I can speak for myself in my 50s now. I am probably 60% less the strength. I lost probably 60% of my strength compared to in my youth, in my 20s and 30s with weights. I get it. Now, if I used to be very insecure about my size. No matter how big I was never big enough. I always felt skinny and weak and scrawny. I call it reverse anorexiaism. And I would have thought me losing a lot of my strength as I got older would deflate me to death, right? It would just destroy me. Because I had issues throughout the years. Like if I was always lifting weights, I always wanted to lift more and more, get stronger and stronger. But the last decade, that has not been the case. And I don't know what the turn was. I don't know if just reality set in on me, but I felt instead of me getting bigger or stronger, I just wanted to feel better. I kind of flipped it. I said, it's not about the way you look anymore. It's about the way you feel. Because I've had so many ups and downs with weight fluctuating where I felt shitty and then I didn't and whatever. It just, just like anybody else who I think works out a lot. Sometimes, you can even be running for a certain time if you're a runner, and before you know it, after a certain amount of time, you can't make that time. It just father time, I guess that's what they claim. That doesn't mean you should quit running by any means. That doesn't mean you should quit doing anything. But the reality is, again, we're aging. But, you may become weaker in one thing, but I think you could become stronger in others. And I think that's where I kind of came into play for myself. That doesn't mean by any means I'm special. But I said, too, I remember when I was getting weaker and losing a lot of size. Because it's hard when you start going from like having an identity for 20 years maybe of being big, the biggest guy, one of the strongest guys. And then all of a sudden you're not. And not only are you losing your size, but like I said, you're losing your strength. It's messing with you. It does. I think that's what happens with a lot of professional athletes. As you see, they don't know when to retire. A lot of the great ones keep going. Before you know it, the end of their career, man, they look horrible. And they should have got out a lot earlier. Not only because, you can stay as long as you want, but physically, what did they do to their body? And that's what I had to think about too. And a lot of my friends kept pushing, and some, may have gotten on certain things to keep, that strength and that size, which is great. That's what they want to do. I do think now that some of them are in their 50s, they're paying the price. I'm paying the price, and I didn't even stick with it going very heavy the last 10 years. I still probably, for somebody who's in their 50s, I would say is probably going to be lifting heavy weights compared to most people I know, especially when I turn it on and off a little bit. By no means am I lifting lightweight, but when you're used to lifting, I guess you could say massive amounts of weight, so I'm still probably lifting more weight than, say, 99% of the 50-year-old men out there. But to me, it's not that much. But my point with anyone listening to this is, I can assure you, you are a strong person. You have so many strengths, and I discuss this a lot when it comes to fitness. Don't sell yourself short, man. And don't let people make you just feel like you're either physically or mentally weak. Fuck them. I'm telling you right now. Don't give people that power. You have strength. You have a lot of knowledge. Now, I'm not going to lie and sit here and say you're the sharpest tool in the shed. You're all geniuses. You're all brilliant. That's bullshit. We all, after a certain amount of time, we know how smart we are. We also know what we don't know. So hopefully you know that because, you should know that because you can't do everything. I talk about that a lot where I don't care how smart you are. You can't do everything. I don't give a shit who you are. You're not trained in every aspect of every different thing. That's ridiculous. Some people are really great at things and some people suck. That doesn't mean you're weak. That's just a reality. I just saw this picture too, which kind of blew me away. It was kind of like how we kind of get analyzed in our life. And it had a picture of a bunch of animals. And it had like a rhinoceros, an elephant, it had a bird, it had a snake, it had a tiger, and some others as well. And like a scholar, like a professor is sitting there and he says, okay, I'm going to analyze everybody on how well they climb this tree. And like the elephant and the rhino are like looking at it dumbfounded because they can't climb a tree, right? Oh, there was a bear there or whatever. And the other ones were like smiling because they knew they could climb the tree. It could be the snake, it was the tiger, whatever. They knew they could climb it. And my point being, a lot of times in life, I think we look at things like if we're not all strong in something, then we're weak or we suck. And I felt like that in school throughout my life. I felt like a horrible student. So most of the time, I just thought I was stupid or dumb or I didn't belong there. Right? A lot of things were over my head. Some things weren't. I mean, I could get by, but for the most part, I was just a bad student. I was not learning things that I was interested in. But then when it came to sports or different things, I excelled more than, say, someone in the classroom. And I've talked about this before on my podcast. Actually, it was a long time ago, or maybe even a YouTube video, where, I used to kind of feel dumb. And if you're in a classroom and there's a lot of smart kids, you're kind of aggravated at them. Like, man, this just comes so easy to them. They don't, you know what I mean? Everything's clicking. Homework is easy. Taking tests is a joke, and I'm sitting here struggling. And when they would have, like, things that you'd have to pair up and do, I'd always kind of get picked last, right? And I could see that. I just wasn't a good student. But then all of a sudden now a gym class, now we're doing things that are physical. Now they're getting picked last. What do they feel like? And I never thought about that till later in life. I think a lot of times we all go through this. Now, in the classroom, was I stupid and weak-minded or whatever? No, I just was having problems learning. When they went out to maybe play sports, were they, weak or stupid or whatever? Maybe they were a little weaker, but that didn't mean they didn't have the potential. Just like I could have had the potential in the classroom maybe if I put more time into it. But, you're not weak. I'm just telling you. Now, if you are weak physically and you're going through health issues and stuff, I don't want to sit here and say you're not weak or if you're sick or you have a virus or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to say for the average person out there that is just, they're healthy. And, sometimes I think, too, people may program you, and it could be your parents, it could be your siblings, it could be other friends, whatever, to kind of throw digs on you. Me and my friends are always throwing digs on one another. Calling each other a lazy piece of shit, fat ass, every name under the book. Everything, right? Dummy, stupid, strong, stunad, everything, whatever. But I think they know it's more about encouragement. It's about helping, kind of building them up, not breaking it down. It's funny how we can call each other names sometimes, not in a bad way, but it's like to say, hey, get off your ass, you lazy piece of shit. We're not, it's like to say, hey, give them a little boost, like, hey, it's time to do something, or hey, it's encouragement, I guess you could say. But if people around you aren't encouraging you, and you know the difference, you know what I mean? You may have to tell them to kiss your ass, because you can't let somebody else, I believe, make you feel weak or destroy your foundation and, and break you down emotionally, break you down even physically. You want to be around people that are uplifting, I believe, that make you stronger. I don't care if it's physically or mentally, make you, and a lot of times that's tough love too. A lot of times growing up, you may not like what your parents said or did or all that shit, but a lot of time that was to kick you in the ass. And then later in life, especially when you have kids, you're like, holy, now I know what my parents were talking about, right? They wanted me, they were beating the shit out of me, maybe verbally or I don't even care if it's physically, whatever, to better me, not to hurt me. And, there is a fine line sometimes where how people get affected from those type of things, but I looked at it as a benefit. But I'm here to tell you, please don't let anyone make you feel weaker. Now, if you're an athlete, for instance, and your coach is ragging on you constantly, you know what? You better take it. He's trying to make you stronger. Again, there's a big difference between a coach, a trainer, somebody, there's a fine line again between making you feel bad that you're not doing something physically, maybe, and you know what I'm talking about. And then there's another one to kind of make you feel bad that helps kick you in the ass a little bit, right? He's just trying to, or her, trying to push you forward, kind of enter into the pain zone or go beyond where you've ever gone before. So don't take things so personal either. Let's call it for what it is. I am going to wrap up with that. So many people, I think, a lot of them, they use what other people have said to them or have done to them and use it as a crutch. You got to get over it. No one should let other people have the power over them. I mean, that's kind of obvious. You can't say this person did this to me and now I'm here. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're in a relationship and, finances and all that stuff, that's not what I'm talking about. But emotionally, after a certain amount of time, and divorces are hard, breakups are hard, even friendships that end are hard. Losing others is really hard. But again, you have to start looking at you or yourself as strength, power. Because I talk about this a lot when you wake up in the morning. I say a lot of times, waking up and feeling and saying you're healthy. I also thought about it and said, you know what? I think people just need to wake up and say, I am strong. I am powerful. And I know that's kind of like you may hear this type of thing with, other stuff. But if you don't feel like you're strong, do you feel weak? And I'm not saying that you don't have to feel weak, but the mindset is, especially when it comes to health and strength and power and how to carry on, it's about strength, man. It's just about that. It's not about being weak. So don't just get it out. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want to hear that weak stuff. Believe me, I don't care what age you are. You can work out as long as you can. If you have health issues, that's different. But you have to, if you are going to work out at any age, I will say this, you have to make it work for yourself. Don't get caught up what you did in the past. Don't get caught up what everybody else is saying or doing. You need to create workouts, or if you're going to do anything physical, that work for you, that obviously don't damage you or injure you, but that help you live a healthier life and become stronger. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you want to know more about who I am, richcelenza.com. I usually always say this at the end of the podcast. I have a program out, Mastering Self-Confidence. And if you go to my website, richcelenza.com, and I have YouTube videos. So if you like my podcast by a little bit, you may definitely like those, especially if you like anything fitness related. Lately, I've been doing a lot on those. Rich Celenza, that's basically the YouTube channel. I've been doing a lot on wardrobe. I've been doing a lot on hygiene. I've been doing a lot on, and I did a lot on travel. My original page was me traveling all over North America. So if you like to check out some Italian neighborhoods, I used to hang out in a lot of little Italies all over North America, including Canada, just so you know, obviously. And I got my favorite coffee spots all over North America, my favorite Italian restaurants. What else do I got in there? My favorite gyms. So you can check that out. All right, take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.